Coming up on this episode of Fire Talk Radio, Beto O'Rourke shows why he's still a douche. Doctors prove that Leah Thompson, or Thomas, has an unfair advantage because evidently we needed doctors to figure that out. School bus or school safety plan struck down by Chuck Schumer. Pelosi has quite a bad week this week. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial finally ends, and we give our thoughts on it, or at least I will, because I don't know why I had to follow that whole damn thing. The Supreme Court leaker is discovered, and the Ministry of Truth might be no more. So all that and more coming up on Fire Talk Radio, episode 34? 35.
I can only count to four. I can only count to four. I can only count to four. I can only count to
Dude, I was just
Hey, welcome
listening to
back.
that song earlier, and it's stuck in my head already. So hearing the intro just goes, "Oh, we're just gonna," and then when it cuts off, it's like my brain goes, "Wait, what happened to the rest of the words?"
Hey, you know what? Do me a favor. Welcome to Fire Talk Radio. I'm Jason. That's Ryan. I need to put some headphones on because I forgot to do that. I'm listening through speakers. So while Ryan tells you how to get a hold of us, I'm going to put headphones on.
So, ladies and gentlemen, so yes, it is episode 35 of Fire Talk Radio. You always check us out on our website on firetalkradio.com, Facebook us at Fire Talk Radio. Our email is firetalknetwork@gmail.com. Phone number for voicemails, 814-380-9820. Please leave us a message. Send us something about episodes that you've listened to if you want to and you want discussions. We can work those discussions in and try to elaborate to see what we can make different. If we're wrong, tell us we're wrong. If we're right, great.
We're never wrong.
I try not to be. I mean, I prove my wife wrong all the time, and I feel like I that's a bad idea half the time, but I do it anyways.
So, man, every time, okay, I've come to the conclusion I want Johnny Depp's lawyer, Camilla, on retainer to argue for me whenever I get into a fight with my wife or get into an argument or a debate with her. Because
I don't
the
know.
thing is,
I don't
I
think
know
I
I'm
don't think
right.
I'm not saying you're wrong there. She put your wife in place, yes, but I just think that's just a road that we should never go down. I think.
Well, the thing is what I like about is just that whole, no, this is my question. You talk to me. You answer the question. Like, do you ever like get into a debate with your wife or an argument and somehow like it makes this left turn, but you don't know how it made this left turn, and now you're arguing about something else that you're not prepared for.
Oh no, I'm there all the time,
And
it's absolutely.
I'm a good debater. I you know, and most people I'm like, no, you stick to the subject at hand, you stick. But for some reason, when it's me and my wife, somehow she like veers it off, and I don't know how we got there, and I follow it. And now
the phrase you want to go with, no, that is not the topic at hand, and then veer it back. I've done that.
I've tried that. It doesn't work. It works in every other situation. Every other person when they try to you know, like you know, red herring me or something like that. I'm like, no. Get it back. This is what we're talking about. That's a whole nother subject. We can talk about that later or in a different, but this is somehow with my wife. I don't know what it is. It's like I always fall for it. And now all of a sudden, like, we're in a direction where I don't know where to, I'm like, I don't know how we got here. I wasn't prepared. I need to get notes. I need to do research. Like, and I'm like, how did I need Camilla to be like, no, these are my questions. You answer yes or no.
Oh, I mean, okay, so in since we're getting there, I'll put this up for everybody. If you catch us out, we're on YouTube also. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please check us out there. It'll let you know when we're actually live. We're not a live show. You'll always see our episodes. Actually, you'll see our episodes first on YouTube if you check us out there.
Hit the little bell, and it'll tell you when we go live and everything,
Yeah.
and when a new episode is up. Because we get these out, I think in the last two episodes, because I didn't edit them, you actually did, because I didn't have time, and they're like, one is like 3 weeks out, another is 2 weeks out, like, and I feel bad because it's not timely, a lot of the stuff, but to be on time with everything, get subscribe on YouTube, because you can watch us live or just watch it as, like right away.
Oh yeah. So this is when they got Amber Heard to actually make to the op-ed. And that is the key part of this whole defamation is that op-ed.
Good?
Yeah.
Good. All right, your next question.
Ms. Heard, at the beginning of your cross-examination last week, I showed you an audio where you told Mr. Depp to tell the jury, tell the judge, tell the world that he is a victim of domestic abuse. Do you remember that?
That's correct.
And you testified you found it hard to believe that Mr. Depp would tell the world that he's a victim of domestic abuse, didn't you?
I said I find it hard to believe that he would do that, knowing that he himself had beat me up for 5 years.
Mind you, that is not what she said on the goddamn recording.
No.
Not at all. No words.
The thing
came
is,
up saying,
Amber Heard has lied so much, and you can only hope that that the jury is seeing what we're seeing. That's the hard part. So here's the thing. Okay. I don't know about Virginia specifically, but most of the time, like, we can go back and we can rewatch what she said and all of this stuff, and really dissect, but the jury only gets to hear it once.
Mm-hmm.
So if they didn't write down, if they were looking off somewhere else or something and they didn't catch it right then and there. So that's the hard part with juries, is they only hear it once. And so all of these lies that she's been caught in, they may not catch all of them. Hopefully they caught enough to go, everything that comes out of her mouth is bullshit.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to go back.
But he has told the world that he's your victim of domestic abuse, hasn't he?
Well, he started to say that only recently. He didn't make that claim up until very recently. So when we signed our divorce agreement and we signed a statement saying that neither party had ever said false claims for financial gain, it was relevant and important to me because I was the only one making the accusations. I was the only one making those claims. He wasn't doing that at the time, and he signed his name to it.
You didn't expect as many people to show up and testify on his behalf that did you?
Incorrect.
When you told this jury under oath that you never assaulted, actually, strike that. When you told this jury, Mr. Depp, because you thought of Mr. Depp pushing Kate Moss down the stairs, you didn't expect Miss Moss to agree to testify that never happened, did you?
Incorrect. I know how many people will come out of the woodwork to be in support of Johnny.
So you think Miss Moss needs to come out of the woodwork to testify for Mr. Depp?
Everybody who was around in the 90s and the early aughts knew that rumor. I had heard that rumor from multiple people. Of course, that's what flashed through my head when my violent husband not only swung for me, but all of a sudden swung for my sister. Of course I thought of that. I did not expect her to show up or not expect her to show up. It didn't matter. It doesn't change what I believed at the time when we were on the stairs and I thought he was going to kill my sister by pushing her down the stairs.
You told this jury under oath that Mr. Depp was aggressive and trashed a trailer in Hicksville. You didn't expect the manager of the Hicksville property, Morgan Knight, to come forward and testify that that was untrue, did you?
Incorrect. I've already been through trials with this man. I know how many people will come out in support of him.
When you told this jury under oath that you had no idea that the paparazzi would be at the courthouse on May 27th, 2016, you didn't expect a TMZ employee to show up to testify that TMZ had been alerted that you would be at the courthouse and knew exactly which side of your face to take a picture of.
I want to pause it for there for a second. So, if you haven't seen the TMZ guy up there, he said how long it takes to verify a video before they're allowed to post it. The video of that thing when she was walking out of the courthouse was 15 minutes. Therefore,
Well-
she was the one who actually gave the video.
Right.
She's
he-
the
what
only
you're
way
talking about
that-
is the video of Depp smashing stuff in the kitchen,
Correct.
smashing cabinets. She's the one that gave it to them. They verified it within 15 minutes that it was
She's the original copyright holder of the
Right.
film.
and he also testified that she cut off the beginning
In the end,
that and
there
the
was a
end that was
section at the
given to
beginning and end that was cut.
right. The ones that they actually played in court that didn't look so good for Amber Heard was not the one given to TMZ.
Did you?
I know how many people will come out and say whatever for him. That's his power. That's why I wrote the op-ed. Is I was speaking to that phenomenon. How many people
Boom.
come out in support of him and will fall to his power? He is a very powerful man, and people love currying favor with powerful men.
Currying
I know
favor
that
and
firsthand. I've
risking
lived
jail
it.
time.
So, for all those that watch this on the YouTube, if you were watching the video or have already seen this, pay attention to the audience the most, because the audience caught it. The question is, hopefully, the jury caught it as well. As
Right.
Amber Heard has not admitted not once but twice she wrote the op-ed that dictated towards Johnny Depp. That is the key part of this defamation case, was that op-ed, and that she has stated that she didn't write it about him. She fucked up now, is the question. Did
Right.
anybody else catch it?
Time for committing perjury.
Excuse me? I didn't hear your
You
question.
didn't hear
Excuse
my
me?
question?
She
Ms.
didn't
Vasquez,
heard
if you do mind,
Curry?
please just repeat the question. I didn't hear you.
Curry favor and commit perjury in this courtroom
I have
for
seen
a
people
powerful
do this.
man?
I have seen people do this time and time again. That's why I wrote the op-ed.
You didn't expect Ben King the
Again.
House of Australia to show up from England. He flew from England to testify that Mr. Depp's fingertip was found exactly where he said it would be. Did you?
I have never heard Johnny testify to knowing where his finger was, or really, frankly, making a claim that he knew where it was when it was found. I've never heard Johnny claim that.
You didn't expect
Johnny
Keenan
doesn't-
Wyatt.
Johnny has never
Ms.
actually
Heard?
said that.
Ms. Heard.
And
I think the
Ben
jury
King,
can,
yes.
Ms. Heard, there's no question pending. You didn't expect Keenan Wyatt, Mr. Depp's longtime sound technician, to show up and testify that Mr. Depp is not being fed lines through his earpieces, but instead music, did you?
Not that it matters much, but of course I did. I know how his employees treat him.
So you
I know how
probably-
his team treats him. Of course I expected that.
Okay, so you probably expected Isaac Baruch to come and testify for Mr. Depp, right?
I'm not sure I thought about that.
Yeah, but you didn't expect Mr. Baruch to weep for Mr. Depp after what you've put him through and so many others with your lies.
I
did you?
relate to Isaac because he and I are
There's
the
no
only
further
ones who
questions, Your
cried
Honor.
on this stand.
Nothing further.
All right. Redirect.
Oh my god. I've never wanted. I never wanted to just. So Aquaman, and the trial between Johnny and her claims to fame right now. That's it.
That's it. I mean, she was in some smaller stuff. She was in like, oh god, what is that MMA movie from 2009 or something like that?
Oh, wait, she was in Zombieland. Where
She was
got
at the
fucking-
beginning of Zombieland. and
Yeah,
it was
she got her
awesome
face
because you get-
smashed in.
with
That-
the toilet,
Yes,
with the back of a toilet.
best scene ever.
Yes.
Um,
Now, here's the great thing. On one of the last episodes, I think I said it on here. I don't remember if I said it on here. I told you off air. I won't go see Aquaman 2 if she's
we said
in
it on here because we already talked about that.
Yes.
We were
There
boycotting Aquaman 2.
are reports that Warner Brothers is completely cutting her from the movie.
I mean, if it happens,
They've cut her from the trailer, from the latest trailer they released. They cut her.
Well, no, that was an extended trailer. So her Mira's particular part. So I've on IMDb, or it was not IMDb. I forget where I saw it. They did. Warner Brothers put out the whole synopsis of it. Lady Mira literally is only in 10 minutes of the whole film.
And
it's in the
according to Amber
beginning.
Heard, she had to beg to get that part in Aquaman 2
Yeah.
because they actually in news reports said no, her and Johnny Depp had nothing to do with them not wanting to hire her. It was the fact that she had no chemistry with anybody on the cast,
that was the
including
thing that
Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa came out and said that there was something there, but it just wasn't what they were looking for. So that's why Mira's part was cut as much.
Even
as it
her
was.
part in Aquaman 1 was like, you could have literally put an AI in there and would have done just as good.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I mean, it was so, I know the whole thing about, it being underwater and she's supposed to have a flat looking face and all this stuff, but still, like, she had no dimension to her anyway.
It felt it didn't feel right as her as that character. They could have picked. I actually thought they should have used Emily Blunt, but she ended up doing something else. I think Emily Blunt would have been a better Lady Mira.
Like, literally, they could have CG'd an AI in there and it would have been just as good. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big Aquaman fan. With the movies,
when your power is talking to fish. Well,
and
we grew
riding
up in the
dolphins.
90s. Aquaman, it was always dictated that he was
he rides
one
dolphins
that you really
and,
couldn't use unless it was a water thing, and that was it. And he talks to fish.
Right.
Granted, Jason Momoa's version of Aquaman is, in fact, a little bit more than just him talking to fish.
He's a little less one-dimensional. But
yes.
Yeah, I never cared for Aquaman. Like, as far as the Justice League goes, I think he was more useless than Green Lantern.
I don't know. I mean,
at least Green Lantern could like fly and create and like, oh, I'm gonna punch you with this big giant fist that comes out of my ring. Or he can hold stuff up if a building is falling with his ring, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Aquaman, he can swim really fast and he's strong. And not even like super strength strong. Just I'm stronger than most people.
Yeah.
He's
and I can breathe underwater.
And I can breathe underwater. I can talk to fish. I can breathe underwater. And I'm stronger than most people, but not quite as strong as Wonder Woman or Superman. And even in Justice League, Batman had a bigger role to play than he did.
Well, I mean,
and Batman's just a rich guy.
Batman. That was the thing in Justice League. Ezra Miller's Flash. He was like, "Oh yeah, what is your power? I'm rich." It was a fucking. And he's
I'm
not
rich
gonna
and
be
I
the
can
Flash
make
anymore.
I can make awesome suits and yeah.
Yeah, I could snap. I mean, he is the DC's version of Iron Man. He just didn't.
Right.
He's not showboating on Batman.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I still like the Dark Knight's Batman the best. Because the whole you strip away everything from Batman, all the money and everything, he's still a fucking ninja. To where
correct. And
all of the other Batman iterations, you strip away all of his gadgets and his money and everything, he's not a fucking ninja. He's a nothing. That's why, to me,
speaking of
the Dark Knight
this
is
a-
really my favorite version of Batman.
I was never. So all right. So Batman Begins. The Dark Knight was more of a Joker movie.
Right, I
Batman
mean-
just there.
If we're if we're talking if we're talking that trilogy, I'm talking the Dark Knight graphic novels.
Oh, okay. So we're talking about the graphic. Okay. So
Yeah.
I was like, I figured how we were.
Which
gonna do it.
which I know the trilogy was
So-
based off of them graphic novels,
Oh yeah. So
obviously. But the graphic novels and Batman Begins, he's a fucking ninja.
yeah, my actual favorite ones were the Golden Age DC, with Todd, and yeah, granted, yes, there's the Court of Owls, there's, you have the Ra's al Ghul and all. That's when everything was coming together.
Now,
The thing
here's my
about Batman,
question.
not
In the-
only is
in the
yes,
comics-
he's a ninja, but the synopsis of Batman was he's the world's greatest detective.
Right. That was the golden age of like the 30s through the 50s, was more of a
Yeah.
detective novel, not a
Yeah.
stalk in the middle of the night, yeah. That you're the one that turned me on to that documentary on Hulu. I Am Batman.
Bill Finger and Batman.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
an amazing.
Bill Finger's the reason why Batman looks the way he does. If it wasn't for him, he would have looked terrible, and it probably would have never worked.
You have to admit
Here.
the early Batman did look terrible.
Oh fuck
I
yeah!
mean,
it was
he wore
absolutely
blue. His ears on his mask were like the size of the mask. I mean, it was
no.
so campy. And then you
I
got
was-
the Batman TV show, the Adam West. That didn't do it any justice as far, but
That
it was
was-
based
that
more
was
off of
just-
the original style of the comic book.
when they changed into the dark persona, the Dark Knight. I was more of a fan of Warner Brothers doing it in the cartoon series.
Oh yeah.
With
Even in the cartoon series in the 90s, he was a ninja.
yes,
Because there was
And all.
episodes that show him going to Japan, and he's got
Yep.
his black belt and he's doing judo against people.
there's a movie that just came out on HBO Max, Batman: Son of Dragon, where it shows where he's young and he goes off to learn in that style before becoming Bat. Then when he comes back to the U.S. in the Gotham, and now as Batman, really showing the decapitation of the two different lives. But
Well,
it's
and
a good. It's
don't
really
forget
good.
the West. I almost said Wes Craven. No, who did the 1989 Batman? The Michael Keaton
Keaton?
Batman. Right, but who was the director?
Tim
he did
Burton?
Tim Burton. Thank you, Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, Burton.
So Tim Burton said though he even based that Batman movie off of the Dark Knight graphic novels.
That was I watched why it was everything was pixelated behind black, where
Yeah,
that was the purpose of it.
right.
The
He
fact
wanted it.
that
He didn't want to
the
do
new Flash, so the Flash that's about to come out, where Keaton is returning. Burton is actually on the cast of the director producer areas because that's the only reason why Keaton would even return. So it's going to be interesting. So Keaton's Batman is returning in the new Flash movie as Old Man Wayne, still being Batman. So but they keep rumoring that Michael Keaton is going to turn into Old Man Wayne for the Terry McGinnis version of Batman. And I think it's time. I think it is absolutely time.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, Bruce Wayne, the story of Bruce Wayne, but the thing is, they keep rolling that story over and over and over and over.
I think it's like
the people
it's
that
like
have been around long enough.
It's
They're
kind of like,
waiting
okay,
for
I
Terry
love
McGinnis to take the mantle.
Yeah. I love Spider-Man, and I like how Joe Rogan put it a few weeks ago. The thing with Spider-Man is they keep retelling the same story because the story of Spider-Man is always Peter Parker gets bit by a spider somehow. They change little details here and there.
Yep.
And of course, the latest one, he's with the Avengers and he gets the super suit from the, from Iron Man and all that stuff. But
so the theory about how Peter Parker in in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, how he got bit, it was at Stark Tower where he got bit.
I
Field
assume
trip.
that since I assume
because
that.
there's no Oscorp.
Right.
So that's hence why they feel that Tony feels so more responsible for Peter Parker being Spider-Man.
That makes sense. That was always my headcanon for it.
The hint for the new Spider-Man, the next 3, is to actually start introducing Miles Morales, which will make a twist because Miles Morales is the new Spider-Man.
Right.
So
in a different universe, in a different multiverse.
Well, there is, one of the multiverses, Spider-Man and Miles Morales are both there working together. So you saw Hawkeye, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. The show on Disney Plus, Hawkeye. So that actually happens after the third Spider-Man movie.
It happens a couple of years after, I think. Yeah. Because this Spider-Man happened almost immediately. So we had Endgame, and then almost immediately after Endgame was Spider-Man 2, Far From Home. And then as soon as he gets back, that's when not Multiverse of Madness. I just watched that last week, by the way. Far From
No Way Home.
No Way Home. I was gonna say Can't Go Home.
Oh my God.
No Way Home. Yeah. So all of that took place because it was 5 years after, so that would put it at 2023, I think.
Yeah.
2018, 2023. And then Hawkeye takes place 2 years after that.
Yeah. And that's why Hawkeye didn't know who Spider-Man was, even though back in Civil War they met. So, it's going to be interesting because we know Kingpin isn't alive. Daredevil's picking up an episode now, getting a series on Disney Plus soon. So that's going to fucking tie in somewhere. So, and then, so there's a chance you're going to see Daredevil and Spider-Man work together fighting the Kingpin again, like they did in the. So that part is very interesting. That could happen. It's so easy to speculate and run down a rabbit hole, especially with
What I
all.
love is that Spider-Man crosses over so many things because he was with the Defenders. He was with
Yeah,
the Avengers.
that's the key. Like when I saw the Defenders episode on Netflix, I was like, we're missing somebody. Spider-Man was a Defender
Right. And
because of the five
Punisher
boroughs of
was
New York.
also, I think Punisher was first introduced in Spider-Man, wasn't he? Like not on the Defenders, not on Netflix, but I mean on
just as a
as
character.
canon.
Yeah, he
as
did
a
show
character.
up. Mm-hmm. And
So, so that's what I love about all this. But the Spider-Man story itself, like Joe Rogan says, they just keep retelling the same story with slightly different people, slightly different things, and like how many times can you watch the same story happen again and again? And unfortunately, that's kind of what happened initially with Batman. You have Batman and then Batman Begins, and now we have the Batman, and it's
the Batman was the one with Robert Pattinson was very different. It didn't tell the story how he became Batman.
well,
So
neither did
it's
the first
already
Batman
known-
though. Neither did the 1989 Batman. The only
No,
one that
no,
does
no.
is
You're right.
the Dark Knight Rises, or not Dark Knight Rises, Batman Begins.
The Batman Begins, yeah. Where the Batman versus Superman with Ben Affleck, it was like 40 years of him already being Batman. And now
And that's what I like about it,
This
and that's
one-
why I think we need, like you said, old Batman. We need to find a way to get away from the Batman is in his 20s, late 20s, 30s. He's a playboy during the day. He's the Dark Knight at night. Because that's what it was in the comics. The comics just keep recycling themselves, and so that's where I think having the old. Honestly, that's as much as I didn't like Batwoman on WB, Batwoman. I didn't like that. I didn't like the way that they did it, and then of course they changed between the first and the second season and all that stuff. But when they had her on the crossover with Arrow and all of that, and they had to
I
go
thought
to
I thought that was very entertaining. The whole full crossover with all of them
the
there.
whole
I thought that was
crossover
really
when they had to go to the Earth where Batman had already fought Superman. He defeated
killed him.
Superman. He killed him, but he's basically walking around in an exoskeleton because his back was broke and all of that. I thought that was
and
a
the
great.
best thing is it was Kevin Conroy, which has voiced Batman since the 90s. Every game you've ever seen with Batman has been Kevin Conroy. Most of the movies, Kevin Conroy. Few of them were Jason Eccles. So he's, and then there's a rumor that Warner Brothers is piloting a live TV show version of Batman again, which hasn't been done since Adam West.
Adam West, so that would have been early 60s. When was
Yeah,
the original
so-
Batman?
It was 60s, 70s. But Jason Eccles is reportedly to actually be Bruce Wayne in that series. They're actually doing it as a television series. And I'm like,
Yeah, 1966.
I don't know how that's gonna work, but I'm willing to give it some attention, because here in the next week or so, or this week, fucking The Boys season 3 comes out where Jason Eccles pops up as Soldier Boy.
Yep.
That I'm looking forward to. I can't fucking wait.
I know.
Watch
I've been waiting.
Obi-Wan, the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan.
I watched the first one with
Um,
my son. I haven't watched the second one because he wants, and he's been gone. So all weekend, so I haven't had a chance to watch. I'm like,
Oh, I watched them
wanna
without my
see-
kid. My kid wants to watch them with me. I was like, I couldn't wait. I told him I'm sorry. But I'm gonna watch it with him. It was fantastic. I
Oh,
thought
it was.
it's going to. I
It's
think
great,
this
and I
is
love
going to
what
be
they did.
Hayden
I love.
Christensen's.
I love what they did.
I honestly think
But
this is going to be Hayden
with the
Christensen's
storyline-
redemption.
Yeah. But I love what they did with the storyline at the beginning of him like just doing everything he can to he basically said, I'm not going to give stuff away. I'm just going to give away the beginning of Obi-Wan saying, "Listen, we lost. We have to keep our head low if we want to survive. And
Mhm.
my job is to watch over this kid and make sure he survives. And then train him when he comes of age." And of course, Luke's uncle wanted nothing to do with it and all that stuff. But
Oh yeah.
it's I love where they picked up, and basically the Jedi that survived is being hunted down one by one systematically.
By the Inquisitors. So this is
And-
great. So the Inquisitors run tail end with Star Wars Rebels, the cartoon. So technically what is going on at the same time is roughly about what is happening during Rebels.
See, this is where
So-
my timeline is off with everything because I never watched Rebels, I never watched Clone Wars, I never watched, any of the
God,
cartoons.
You need to take it. You need to take like a week and just watch all of it. My wife told me, she goes, I never got a chance to get into Star Wars. And I'm like, you lie so much as we watched them in this house. I said, fine, we're gonna take a week. We're gonna watch all the movies in order. I'm gonna do it chronologically. I can't even speak.
Chronologically
We're gonna do it in
or
order,
by
1 through
year?
9. Plus, no, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do 1 through. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do the movies 1 through 9. I'm going to interject Clone Wars, the cartoons, and the little offshoot movies like Han Solo and
Rogue
what was
One.
the other one.
Rogue
Rogue
One.
One. That was actually a fantastic. I actually
was
loved how
pretty
they
good.
did that one.
Yeah.
And then Rebels with, and then the rest of the movie, and then go into Mandalorian, and then 7, 8, 9 until
Well,
all
you
of
should
Obi
wait
Wan.
until you should wait
it's
until
just-
all of Han Solo is done before you go into Rogue One. Because
Well, I mean, I'm gonna watch I gotta watch the Han. We gotta watch the Han Solo movie. I mean, it's gonna be there. I gotta look at the chart of where it's placed at.
yeah, but I mean, before
There's
you
actually a
watch, if you're
chart
gonna
out there.
watch them all chronologically, you gotta
Yeah.
place after
I
After
seriously doubt they're gonna
number
do
3,
another Han Solo.
have so number 3, and then the cartoon that you said, and then Han Solo, and then Rogue One. Well, no, Obi-Wan, Han Solo, and then Rogue One.
We'll get there.
And
All
then
right,
7, 8, 9.
so,
And then aren't they coming out with another one
Movie.
where they're talking about her parents, like how her parents raised parents?
I don't know. I have no idea how they're gonna do that.
I thought
Dave
I thought
Filoni's
I
got
heard they
something
were going to
going
come out
on.
with another movie or miniseries or something with Ray's parents.
They have a movie and they just haven't really discussed it. They're keeping it as hush as they can. I want to talk about.
Well,
Let's
before
talk
we
about the what's up?
jump into something else, let's go back to some of the crazy stuff from the Amber Heard trial.
Oh yeah,
Be got off on a tangent. Okay,
we
so
did.
you played about her admitting the op-ed.
Op-ed.
This is such a weird case because one, the people that came out okay, this literally
They're gonna
this
come
guy
out for him because he has so much power.
this guy literally let me share the screen here. This was supposedly an expert for Amber Heard diagnosing Johnny Depp, basing some of it on how he acted in his movies.
Did you look at that one? Processing speed.
Look at it. It looks so weird. Like he's
Is that got to answer that question, Your Honor?
You have to answer questions. Yes, sir.
No, you'll be happy to know I didn't see Willy Wonka as a
You know whether Marlon Brando used an earpiece?
dead.
No.
So the answer is no, he does
Oh
not
my
use
God.
it. Never fed his lines through the earpiece, which I know he was, but read he was. And that may have been that example, Mr. That it was music. I guess the question you are.
so this supposed expert is based his saying that Depp is narcissistic and he's low functioning
Based on his movies.
based on his movies, saying he watched Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and he read that Johnny Depp was being fed his lines through an earpiece, which everyone knows Marlon Brando was. There's actually a few different actors that have done that have admitted to that.
Are saying that I'm an expert witness. I'm saying as an expert witness.
Let's start with the easy question.
My thing is, if you have to say you're an expert witness, you're not one.
Yeah. If you have to tell everyone I am an expert at something, that's basically proof that you're not.
Go ahead.
All right, Doctor, you're going to have to just answer the questions.
Okay. Sorry about that. Getting into it.
You need to just answer the questions,
Okay.
Dr. Spiegel.
That's the
I'm not sure
judge.
why we're arguing psychiatry because I'm telling you what it is.
Dr. Siegel, you just need to answer the questions.
Okay.
Mr. Depp fell asleep with ice cream in his hand. That's not vomitous, right?
I was told it was vomitous.
So now he's basing his expert, quote unquote expert, because he was told to. You can look at the picture that Amber Heard took of him asleep. She says he was passed out, and there was an ice cream bowl that spilled. And a lot of people are saying it looks staged, which I don't doubt it. At this point, I don't doubt anything is staged. Everything is staged.
We've seen Mr. Depp during this trial doodling and eating candy. What, if any, evidence would that suggest that he has narcissistic traits?
Objection, Your Honor. No foundation.
I'll sustain the objection.
And
I love
That- this-
in this his
And then she
lawyer.
reaches over and gets some of his treats. Miss
Yeah, his
Camilla.
lawyer. I love her so much. I am so in love with her.
And she's
I'm
just
sorry.
making a smirk, and they're all just laughing there up top.
I am sorry. I am so deeply in love with her.
counsel for Mr. Depp came back and said, are you aware Ms. Heard has been diagnosed?
Okay. So that's that. Here is Amber Heard talking about did we show her talking about being not donating, claiming that she donated but didn't?
Yeah, we did that the last time. But
I'll play it again.
technically, technically her funds.
She has no funds of that $7 million or $7 million.
That's all she has. She's got
That's
$7
all.
million.
That's like 90%. That's all, and most of that now is going towards her lawyers. Like she has no money, and she keeps saying during this that she's being questioned. Like, so you didn't donate, even though you told everyone you didn't donate.
She has
pledged
a
them.
counterclaim for $100 million, right?
Yes, we're gonna get into some of
Which
that
is
real quick. So
fucking ridiculous.
You have not donated the $7 million, donated, not pledged, donated the $7 million divorce settlement to charity.
I use pledge and donation synonymous with one another.
But I
the same
don't.
thing.
Ms. Heard, I don't use it synonymously.
That's how donations are paid.
Ms. Heard, respectfully, that's not my question.
And then she goes on to say, when you buy a house, you don't pay for the whole house at one time. Yeah, you do. I just bought a house. Guess what I had to do? I had to take a
out a
loan
loan.
from a bank to pay the whole house at one time. Now I have to pay the bank back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't pay the owner of the house little bits at a time. All right. And then going on to the closing. The closing is the best. So I'm going to actually, no, I'm going to play Camilla donated.
Johnny Depp's lawyer team brought in this really fancy looking like little stand for them to have their notes on when they were reading too. I was like, man, they couldn't use the one that was there. They had to bring in their own. They're being
They are so unprepared. They look like, the thing is, when you have the truth on your side, it's easy to make the other side look like garbage.
Oh yeah.
So
This is not
here's Johnny
easy
Depp
for any of us.
basically
I know
the
that.
end of his testimony.
But
She stares
No.
at him like hoping that he'd look at her.
and I did tell the truth, and I have stuck him up for what I've been carrying on my back reluctantly for 6 years.
All right, and then Camilla's close. This sums it up perfectly right here. And it's so funny when I watch or go online to TikTok and stuff, there's always these, I swear they have to be bots, because no person of general intelligence would argue and say that Amber Heard is the victim here. No person, but there's always people in the comments defending, and I swear it's people on her PR team sending out bots.
Either she's a
It's
victim
got to be.
horrific abuse, or she is a woman who is willing to say absolutely anything. Let's talk about the giant lie at the heart of this case. Ms. Heard's claim that Mr. Depp is an abusive monster and that she is a public figure representing domestic abuse. At the start of this case, Mr. Chu and I told you that you were going to hear some disturbing and graphic tales of abuse from Ms. Heard, and they were designed to shock you and overwhelm you, which you have. We told you that this would be a performance, the role of her lifetime, as a heroic survivor of brutal abuse. When Mr. Depp brought this case for defamation, Ms. Heard went all in. She spun a story of shocking, overwhelming, brutal abuse. She came into this courtroom prepared to give the performance of her life, and she gave it. What we have is a mountain of unproven allegations that are wild, over the top, and implausible. And you can't pick and choose which of these wild allegations to believe and which ones to disregard. You either believe all of it or none of it. Either Mr. Depp sexually assaulted Ms. Heard with a bottle in Australia, or Ms. Heard got up on that stand in front of all of you and made up that horrific tale of abuse.
Yeah. She said he basically raped her with a bottle and she was bleeding and yet never sought medical attention. Never went to a doctor. Now, here's the thing. She could still win. If you look at the jury instructions, I'm going to put these this link in the show notes for you to put up. So we need to add right here. Okay. So I'll put this link up, but if you look at the jury instructions,
They took one of the instructions out. There was like 4 of them, and then one of them got struck out.
yeah. So I'm reading the latest one from
Yeah, because there was a
Fairfax
D.
County.
D
Yep.
was struck out.
So in order to make these claims true, you have to find that the defendant, Amber Laura Heard, Miss Heard, that the issues in this case are summarized below. When Miss Heard made or publicized any of these statements, so put yourself in the jury's head. Miss Amber Heard, A, spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, and said that has to change. B, then 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out. C, I had the rare vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men and accused. And they did have a D in here that basically was really easy to go, yep, she said and did all that, and that wasn't true. And somehow her lawyers were able to argue that as not being a part of the jury instructions. Number 2, do any of Miss Heard's statements imply or insinuate anything about Mr. Depp? Yes, she actually said she wrote it about Mr. Depp. Number 3, were Miss Heard's statements seen by anyone other than Mr. Depp?
The United States and the world.
Yeah, it was put in the Washington Post. 4, and they have to find on all of these, by the way. Did Miss Heard's statements convey a defamatory implication to someone who saw them other than Mr. Depp?
Oh, yeah.
Are the implications or insinuations about Mr. Depp in Miss Heard's statements false? That's going to be the hard one. And that's where they have to go, well, did he really abuse her or not? Like, the stuff that she put in there, were they false? Because if they're true, truth is a defense to defamation.
Oh, yeah.
Number 6 is another one, too. Did Miss Heard make the statements with actual malice? Actual malice means I knew they were false. I intended for them to be false. You know, I made these. If she even believed that they were true. Like if someone says something like us talking here and someone sues us for defamation, if we think that what we're saying is true, that's not actual malice. It might be malice, but not actual malice. And number 7, if Mr. Depp is entitled to recover, what is the amount that the damage is? So, they don't have to give the full amount, the full 50 million.
Yeah.
Okay. And then of course, you know, with respect to Miss Heard, and then they talk about liability issues. Her claims, the issues in the case are summarized as follows. Did Adam Walden, while acting, okay, so this is her against Depp now. So, and these ones, because remember, they're judging 2 cases, a suit and a countersuit. Her case is, 1, did Adam Walden, who was Depp's former attorney, while acting as an agent for Mr. Depp, make the following statements? Amber Heard and her friends in the media use fake sexual violent allegations as both a sword and a shield, depending on their needs. They have selected some of her sexual violent hoax facts as a sword, inflicting them on the public and Mr. Depp. B, quite simply, this was an ambush, a hoax. They set Mr. Depp up by calling the cops, but the first attempt didn't do the trick. The officers came to the penthouse, thoroughly searched and interviewed, and left after seeing no damage to the face or property. So Amber and her friends spilled a little wine and roughed the place up, got their story straight under the direction of a lawyer and publicist, and then placed a second 911 call. And C, we have reached the beginning of the end of Miss Heard's abuse hoax against Johnny Depp. So those are the statements that Amber Heard in her case against Johnny Depp is saying that he defamed her, even though it wasn't Depp himself. Then, are any
Correct.
of the statements about Miss Heard? Well, of course, they're all about Miss Heard. Were any of the statements seen by someone other than Miss Heard? Yes, he made them publicly. Are any of the statements false? So, in this case, are any of these A, B, or C false? If they believe that, she didn't, call 911 and, rough the place up, if they believe any of those three are false, then Johnny loses. Were any of the statements made again with actual malice? That's going to be the hard one, because they have to believe that the lawyer that spoke on Depp's behalf believed that they were false, knew that they were false, and said them anyway. If Miss Heard is entitled to recover, what is the amount of damages? And then the finding instructions. Miss Heard made or publicized the following statement. The statement about, is it false? All of that stuff that I just read. So, I mean, they have a hard time. That's the thing, is this case is not what the jury has to go through, is not who was more of a monster, Johnny or Amber. It was these specific questions.
Yeah.
Now, I like what Camilla said, which was, you can't pick and choose which ones are true. Either she told the truth through the whole thing and you can believe everything she said, or you can't believe anything she said. And I'm more inclined to not believe anything she said. They do have to have a unanimous decision on this. So this isn't where more than half of the jurors have to agree on it. They have to have a unanimous decision. If they don't, it's a mistrial, and they have to go through it all again if they choose to. But I don't think Johnny would choose to. I think Johnny got his word out. I think no matter what the verdict is, that's why.
That's all that matters. He got what he needed out. He needed shown, and now everybody's seen how she has acted during this whole thing, and that alone.
And that was the thing with the UK
her
trial.
For anybody.
That was the thing with the UK trial, is at the UK trial, they had actual witnesses that came up and said, no, this sexual assault that she's claiming, her actual assistant at the time told her about what happened to her with a previous partner. And Amber took it and used it as her own at the UK trial. And because it wasn't televised or anything, all of that, it got published, but nobody really reads, what happens in the Daily Mail or something like that. It's there one day and it's gone the next. But this trial went on for 6 weeks. People were able to see just the type of person that she was. So I'm rooting for Johnny.
Oh, yeah.
I hope he wins, but even if he doesn't, I hope that neither of them win and neither of them have to pay each other.
And she's still stuck giving $7 million to everybody else.
Yeah.
So she's going to be broke anyways, regardless.
And she's destroyed her career.
$7 million.
Yep. And I think in the court of public opinion, Johnny cleared his name.
Oh, yeah.
In my opinion. So, okay, moving on. We had another school shooting.
Yes.
That was a horrific event for so many reasons. I don't think we necessarily need to go into all of the details of it because basically it's been everywhere. But short answer, 18-year-old kid, I'm calling him a kid, 18-year-old kid bought some rifles. And I think he had a pistol on him too, if I remember correctly.
He did, but he was in the state of Texas, at his age, he is legally not allowed to have a pistol.
Right. Michigan's the same way. 21 is the legal age. But so he entered a school somehow through an open door that was not the main entrance.
So a teacher left a door propped by a rock. So the school was not 100% secure.
Okay. And backing up, first he shot his grandmother.
Yes.
He shot his grandmother. Then he jumped in the truck. He drove it to the school, busted through a fence, went through that, went into a classroom, and
Mind you, this is a gun-free zone school.
all schools are gun-free zones.
Understandable, but
Yeah. And he was in there for 45 minutes, an hour, something like that.
longer than he should have been.
Right. And horrifically murdered students, a teacher.
Yeah.
It was awful. I think what's more awful was the police response, in my opinion, to this.
I think what the cops did were cowardice.
Completely. And their
So
reasoning is they were afraid he was going to shoot them.
that is the dumbest reason ever. You are an officer. You are told you are the one to go in.
Right. You're like a soldier. You go into harm's way. Okay. I'm going to preface this, what I'm going to say here forward, saying officers, law enforcement, firefighters have no legal obligation, no legal duty to risk their own life to save somebody else.
I understand that.
The Supreme Court has said that. The
My-
Sandy Hook case said that. That's why the that Broward County deputy at the school that ran away, nobody could get any money out of him or anything like that. That doesn't take the moral obligation, the moral liability away from them.
Understandable. What I don't agree with is that they stood and barricaded and they arrested parents and tased parents
Yes.
for trying to go in and rescue their own children, even though
They would.
officers sat outside for 45 minutes
And the worst-
knowing that there was an armed person in the house, in the school.
yes.
The thing is, now this is turned political, which is dumb. So they're
Well-
coming for the guns. So, but the thing is, it's not a gun issue. This was a mental health issue, more or less.
I don't even
Okay,
see
yes.
it as mental
So-
health, but go ahead.
The kid had psychologically they did a deep dive into him. He was not right.
No.
Am I a psychologist? No, I've gone to enough of them to kind of have an understanding of what how they're writing it out. I am not making an excuse for him. He would deserve to be shot. Period. My thing is, I believe we have enough unemployed vets. We can give them jobs and place them at every school in the U.S. I believe a deterrent needs to be in place. I understand it's a gun-free zone, but people who want to see the most reactions go to gun-free zones.
As Chris Rock put it, don't go to parties with metal detectors because all of those guys waiting outside know you ain't got one.
Correct.
Um,
But
so
my other thing is that the school has done, for doing history of the school, has done active shooter drills before, just as a precaution, because sure, why not? We live in that day and age, which is sad. The doors are equipped with a special lock, and only few people have a key, a master key for that lock, which was not available at the scene. So that doesn't help the situation. Mental health is an issue, and everyone says we should get rid of our guns. No. If you look at some of the church attempts where people go in, there's another guy there with a gun that has no problem practicing his Second Amendment right to save everybody else by taking out the one gunman, thinking that he has his way.
2 days after this, in, was it North Carolina, I think it was? Look it up. There was a story of a gunman that went to a graduation party, I think it was. And he was taken out by a grandmother that had a concealed weapon. So my thing is, with something like this,
It was
there's a few things.
Arkansas.
Okay.
It was Arkansas, 17-year-old. They went outside to an Arkansas graduation, and he was shot. There was another one in Tennessee. All right after, and the thing is that I think I want to say this. I think the Swiss do it right when it comes to gun control. They do very similar of what we do. They have a registry. You have to train. They make sure everybody is trained.
Well, theirs is
Women, men.
Theirs is forced military, and then
Yes, they have
you
a
get to
forced
keep
1
your
year military for all men between 18 and 34.
and then you
you
get
must
to
serve
keep
at
your
least
service
1 year.
rifle. Yep, you keep your service rifle.
Yes. But if it is found out that you are not capable of taking care of that gun anymore, they will come and remove it. So I mean that is completely understandable. But that's the thing, is that training is needed.
Well, and I still say, I know a lot of people that are not military, are not law enforcement, but they are firearm enthusiasts.
Yeah.
And I would put my life in their hands before I would any police officer. Now, that brings me to my first point that I want to make. When I went through training, we learned a lot from Columbine. And we learned even more from the Virginia Tech shooting. And one of the things we learned in my department was, we called it Code Red, an active shooter situation. And what we did is, the old way is doing what these police officers did, which is set up a perimeter, wait for specially trained tactics and weaponry to get there. Call it SWAT, call it CERT, call it bring in the rig with the shield. Wait for that to get in, and then you coordinate people going through the school and one by one clearing rooms and then clearing people out. That was the old way.
Mhm.
The new one, and this is what a lot of police departments do. Mine did it back in the early 2000s. They did it in, they claim that that's what the standard is in Florida, which is as soon as there's more than one officer on the scene, those officers enter. So in my car that I drove, you know the term I'm riding shotgun.
Yeah.
Okay. It used to be that there's a shotgun that, was in the front seat, and normally
Yep.
they would just lean it up against the passenger side if
yeah.
someone rode shotgun, they had to ride where the shotgun rode. That's how that came. What we did is we actually had in our vehicles, when we went out, we had our sidearm. Plus, every car when we went out, we put an AR in there for each officer. So there was a rack in the back above our heads that you had to push a button and it released it for like 3 seconds, 5 seconds, just long enough for you to grab and
Yeah.
either put it up there or take it out. And so the way our training went is as soon as 2 officers got in there, you each grabbed your rifle or your pistol, whatever you have, and you don't go through and clear rooms. You go through and you check going down the hall, check the room. Is the person in that room? No. Go to the next room. Is the person in that room? As more officers come, they fill in and they do the same thing behind you so that eventually you have officers going room to room in all directions. You don't wait, because here's what we found. The average shooting lasts 8 minutes. I think it was 8 to 10 minutes.
Something like that. Yeah.
The average person, so the average trained person takes, an average trained, and by that I mean me and you, going to
Sure.
the shooting range, going through some stress. It will take us roughly 30 seconds to, 20 to 30 seconds to realize there's a threat. It's called the OOLA loop. Realize there's a threat, figure out where the threat is coming from, decide what to do about the threat, and execute that decision. That decision can be, I'm going to pull my firearm, shoot back. That can be, I'm going to run. So in any given situation, whatever happens in that first 30 seconds to a minute is going to happen regardless. Now, somebody that's highly trained, we're talking high caliber military, high caliber law enforcement, high caliber civilian that goes to these high stress simulations, stuff like that. They can knock that down to maybe about, less than 10 seconds, some cases down to, less than 1. But so given, 1 minute, whatever happens, happens. The guy in the Virginia Tech shooting in one classroom had 10 minutes in one classroom. Nobody could fight back. Nobody could leave. So he could basically execute them at will.
Yep.
In this case, he had 45 minutes in a classroom that nobody
Yeah.
did anything. So they needed police there to cut that time down to 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. The better option, though, is security on campus. And I'm not talking putting police officers on there.
No.
I'm talking armed security. In my opinion, plainclothes security.
That's why I was saying that vets. You have
Vets would be a good one.
because they understand what they're looking for. They already have a lot of the real world training, and 9 times out of 10, they're the ones that are working. They're looking for work, and
Right.
yeah, put 2 of them at a school. 2 of
Well,
them. That's
let's
all you
think
need.
of this.
They-
In the United States, there's roughly 100,000 schools. Okay.
Mhm.
There are over 300,000 vets between the ages of 25 and 60.
Yep.
So you could do that. But it's not just having the people there. Okay. So that's one, because you need somebody there. In my opinion, the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. And
Yep.
the amount of damage they can do is proportional to the amount of time it takes for that second gun to get there. In this case, with this kid, it was an off-duty border patrol.
Yep. He got into the building and took care of it.
Right. He did what the police wouldn't do. And so anyway, it's a good guy with a gun got there. So it's not just that. We also have technology. Okay. One, not propping open doors, because you need one way in. You need a funnel point. You need one way in, multiple ways out. So you need doors that, in my son's school, they are supposed to keep all the doors locked. I know in this one, they're supposed to.
Oh, yeah.
It's this teacher that propped it open that allowed him to do it. When I go to my son's school, he's homeschooled right now. My wife just signed him back up for school next year.
Nice.
I told her this time we're not pulling him again. And so anyway, in order to go into the school, you have to go through first one buzzer, and that lets you in between doors. Then
Yep.
you have a video camera looking at you. You push another buzzer. The other buzzer, the person says, what your name, you have to state your name, who you're there for, what your business is. Then it doesn't let you into the hallway. They have doors that go into the hallway for the kids, like when school starts, to come in and leave. But they let you in, and it goes into the principal's office or the main office where the principal and the vice principal and the secretary and all that is. And then from there, if you want to go to your son's classroom to pick him up, they call down to the classroom and they come to you. You're not allowed to leave, or they have to you have to go through a background check and all this stuff. Every year I go through the background check anyway, because I'm a coach for our school district. So I'm already in the system. So they never had a problem letting me in, but, you give them your driver's license, they copy it down, all that. You need that funnel point, and then you need security cameras and a person watching the security cameras to see. This guy walked through the hallways with them ARs. There was nobody in the hallway. It wasn't lunchtime. It wasn't recess. It wasn't,
it was during instructional time.
During instructional, when the halls were clear. You do that. Camera catches this person has a gun. He's walking through the halls. You hit a buzzer. That buzzer goes off, and that tells every classroom to lock their doors. That's the best thing you can do, is trap them from getting to you. And you can still open up windows, make windows that open up so that it's open up enough to let air in, but not let people in or out, all of that stuff. And we just gave $40 billion to another country for their war.
Yep.
That $40 billion could have paid for a lot of this for schools. But instead, what the Democrats want is they want the Republicans to go on record saying, we're going to take away everybody's Second Amendment right to protect themselves, to protect their house, to, all of that. And don't forget, this kid, he passed a federal background check.
Yeah.
Twice. So this whole, we need background checks. We need to close these loopholes. None of that would have prevented this. What would have prevented this, even recognizing him, these red flag laws, in order for the red flag laws to work, somebody actually has to say, this person is, and I don't like the red flag laws that are in states because they eliminate due process. Somebody, your neighbor that you're in a beef with, can say, hey, he's unstable, he owns guns. The police show up, they take your guns, and then you don't see a court date for a year.
Yep.
Or 2 years.
So the GOP announced a school safety bill. It didn't even stay up long enough before it was squashed. But here's Chuck Schumer explaining why he made sure it didn't go through.
There is a plague upon this nation, a plague of gun violence that has taken over this country. 2 weeks ago, that plague claimed the lives of 10 Black Americans who were massacred in broad daylight while shopping at a grocery store in Buffalo. They were Black and they were in a grocery store. That is the reason they were shot by an 18-year-old with an AR-15. And then, yesterday, just 10 days after Buffalo, that plague struck again in Uvalde, Texas, where 19 innocent children and 2 teachers were gunned down at Robb Elementary in the middle of the school day, just before the start of summer, when these kids were looking forward to having such a wonderful time with their family and friends. Gone. They're gone. America's gun epidemic is unmatched by any of our peer nations in the world. No American is safe from it. And the American people are sick and tired of it. But we also have a problem, a big problem, here in the United States Senate. A big problem in the United States Senate. The problem in the Senate is simple. Too many members on the other side of the aisle are disconnected from the suffering of the American people. Too many members on that side care more about the NRA than they do about families who grieve.
Bull fucking shit.
Gun violence. To my Republican colleagues, imagine if it happened to you. Imagine if this was your kid or your grandkid.
Hold on, pause it for a second.
How would you feel?
So imagine if it happened to you. You mean like the gunman that shot a bunch of Republicans at a baseball practice?
Yep.
You know, that claimed he was doing it for Bernie Sanders?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That doesn't count. Because it's for Bernie.
Right, yeah. He was a Bernie bro. Okay, go ahead.
Could you ever forgive yourself for not supporting a simple law that would make these mass shootings less likely? Please.
My thing is, gun laws only affect law-abiding citizens.
Yeah, look at Chicago.
Chicago, New York are 2 of the most
LA.
egregious states when it comes to getting a gun, like to get gun permits.
Yeah, Chicago, the only people in Chicago that have guns are the criminals. And you know what? They're shooting each other in, they're having 20 deaths a weekend in that city. You don't hear about that because it goes against their narrative.
Oh, yeah.
Or they'll say, well, they're bringing them in from Indiana. Well, if that was the case, why doesn't Indiana have that problem? All right.
Please, damn it.
There's only a little bit left.
Put yourself in the shoes of these parents for once. Maybe that thought, putting yourself in the shoes of these parents instead of in the arms of the NRA, might let you wriggle free from the vice-like grip of the NRA, might free you to act on even a simple measure. For the sake of these children, these 9-year-olds, these 10-year-olds, these 11-year-olds, these beautiful children, please, damn it, please, think if it was your child or grandchild. There is
You know what I want at my son's school? I want security.
Right?
I want security at his school, and I want there to be armed security there to protect him. Because when he's home, I protect him. When we're out and about, I carry a firearm. I protect him. I don't want to be a victim. I want to be able to fight back. What the Democrats want is they want us to be victims. They want to take away our ability to defend ourselves. They want to make everybody reliant on them. That's what they want. And the way to do that is to demonize the guns and to take guns away from people that legally have them and have never, my firearms have never killed a person. I I have a firearm that was passed down from my grandpa to my dad to me. Never killed a person.
Right?
Killed a number of deer. Never killed a person. We're not going to, even with all of the, it's a mental health issue, all of that. There's always been mental health problems. The problem with school shootings and mass shootings has been in the past 30 years. And the reason that it's been a problem in the past is because of social media, is because of, you take the guy in Buffalo, he was radicalized on Reddit, 4chan, and Discord, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
He found people that he, rather than being out in the real world and having people say, dude, what you're saying, that's white supremacy, that's racist, no, he found people that agreed with him and he acted on it.
Look at the guy so we got the guy in Buffalo, but yet they're not talking about the gentleman who shot up a fucking subway in New York. He was just as much as a racist as the kid that did it in Buffalo.
Right. But it didn't go with their narrative. So we heard about it for a day and then it went away.
So it's
the thing is you're not going to get evil people out of the world. You're not going to find and stop every person with a mental illness. You can't take away 300 million guns in the United States. It's not going to happen. What we need to be able to protect ourselves, protect our children. What happened after 9/11? Yeah, it's, for the most part, in my opinion, security theater, but we beefed up security at the airports and on planes. At the very least, they made it so that no one can enter the cockpit.
Oh yeah.
At the very least, we did that. What we're not learning from these is we're not beefing up security. How much was spent on COVID testing at schools this past 2 years when kids were not an actual vector of transmission, nor were they even really getting sick or dying themselves. They might have been getting sick, but they weren't dying in any great number. I mean, more kids died from pneumonia the year before than COVID. So and when I say pneumonia, I mean non-COVID related pneumonia.
Sure.
But yet our school district and our schools are not paying to have security. You can have security without having metal detectors and making kids walk through and scanning all the kids' bags and everything like that. You can do that, especially in the elementary school.
So here's O'Rourke deciding to put his 2 cents in during.
Oh my God, he is such a clown.
When Greg Abbott was having his little spiel about it.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Sit down. You're out of line and an embarrassment. Sit down and don't play this.
The next shooting is right now, and you are doing nothing.
No, please. Place to talk this over.
This is totally predictable. When you,
Sir, you're out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Please leave this auditorium. I can't believe you're a sick son of a bitch that would come to a deal like this to make a political issue.
He is so disgusting.
It's on assholes like you. Why don't you get out of here?
He's there for literally just to like.
Well, he's running for governor. Listen, he ran for president and he lost horribly.
Yeah, because he ran on, I'm going to take your guns.
Literally, he said, I'm going to take your guns. Then he ran for Senate and lost horribly. Now he thinks he's going to... Who are the people telling him that his ideas are good or that people want his ideas? He is such a... Oh, God, I don't even know what to say. He's a clown. That's what he is.
Oh, he is.
He's a
He surely
he's
is.
a publicity clown.
You know,
And he does stunts like this that it's sickening and it's disgusting that people would
it's just
do
so
that.
he can get his name on in the media. The media.
And you know Joy Reid at MSNBC is going to play that and say he's speaking up truth to power and all this bullshit.
Oh yeah. It's quite ridiculous. Granted, no one can predict when a school shooting has happened. Are there signs? Sure. Are people paying attention to them? Who knows?
Well, it's hard to pay attention. So the thing is I live in a small town. All right.
Oh yeah.
So what's it called? The normalcy bias tells us that, oh, in our small town, it's never going to happen. So people aren't paying attention. I'm sure in that was a small town.
Mm-hmm.
No one thought it was going to happen. Because it's the normalcy bias. We always want what is normal. We don't want to think about something horrific happening. They were actually polling people in Kyiv before Russia came in, and they thought, "Oh yeah, it'll never happen." They might try to come across our borders, but they won't be able to take Kyiv. They won't attack Kyiv.
Yeah, they fucking took it.
It's that normalcy bias that makes people not see it, and that's why you need security.
What was it? What in Florida? A kid made a funny comment. Oh, I bought 4 ARs. I'm going to go to the school. The cops arrested him for that simple comment.
Well, that's the other part of this too, is whenever we
So
have
it's
one
like-
of these,
it's either-
they take it in the so far in the other direction. Like you have there's a story of a kid that got suspended or expelled because he bit his not toaster strudel, his Pop-Tart into the shape of an L and was pointing it at kids like it was a gun.
Yeah.
They take it so far in the other direction that you don't need to do that. Yeah, keep a watchful eye for major signs, stuff like that. But more so than that, you need on-site security. You need somebody that can lock down hell, you can have automatic locks on the doors. You see a kid on camera walking through, you hit the button, just like a fire drill or tornado drill, the kids drop down and the doors all the doors in the building automatically lock.
Where I grew up in Maryland, we had, because we were right outside of DC, we had nuclear bomb tests still going on, where it's like, oh, get under your desk and
because your
get
desk
into the
is
fetal
gonna
position.
stop.
And I'm like,
Yeah, because that's gonna
I'm thinking-
stop things.
I know. I remember doing it as a kid, and I'm like, how is this gonna protect me
Yeah.
from being evaporated?
Yeah.
But I
in
guess,
this case, you do that. You don't have to have these, shooter drills. Someone comes in and I always hate these shooter drills because I participated in them. And basically you're carrying a paint gun and you're not even just wearing goggles. You're wearing this big giant helmet and chest protector, and them going, see, they, even if you have a gun, you don't have time to pull it out before he shoots you. It's like, because he knows who the hell has a gun.
Yeah,
It's the
right?
guy with the big helmet on. So before they come in and try to shoot the teacher or shoot whoever, they're shooting the person with the gun. They're taking him out because they know who he is. I hate them drills.
I know. I mean, it could be no better than Pelosi. So
Well, before we get into Pelosi, though, if you want to watch a good movie, I don't know if you have Daily Wire, if you subscribe to them, but they have a movie called Run, Hide, Fight that a lot of what we're talking about actually happens in that movie. It's about a girl that basically fights back against armed students that, break in. But the police were just like the police in this. They were basically useless, and they set up a perimeter. So she was on her own the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
Or she is on her own the whole time because the police, rather than breaching, they're, and so anybody, get the Daily Wire. Actually, they got the new Gina Carano movie coming out this summer also. So that'll be a good Terror on the Prairie. So that'll be another good one. But Run, Hide, Fight is really good.
So good old poor Pelosi. She just can't fucking win. She can't go get communion from the church because of her stance against abortion.
Yep.
Because
which she shouldn't.
She should,
because you claim you're a Catholic. One of the Catholic doctrines.
Oh yeah, I love
is
how
that
Whoopi Goldberg comes out and goes, "You can't stop her from that. That's not your job." Actually, the bishop's job is to tell you who can and cannot get communion.
Right.
That is his only job.
You follow these tenets, or you're not Catholic.
Or make your penance, whatever.
Right.
But you have to understand, abortion is a deadly sin in the eyes of the Catholic Church.
It's a mortal sin. It's thou shalt not kill.
Correct.
And they believe that the child, as do I, in the womb, is a person, is a human.
As of conception, yes.
Yeah, as of conception. As soon as those cells start developing, it's its own being.
Mm-hmm.
And if you say, if you say that, we can kill that, and then claim that you're Catholic, you're a hypocrite. You're not just a hypocrite. You're a charlatan.
That's about right.
That's what you are.
And then her husband was yesterday or Friday was just charged with a DUI in Napa Valley while she was at a university speaking. I'm like, oh, I guess insider trading is now being classified as DUI. Because he's made a lot of money off his wife's
knowledge,
political decisions.
Yep. Before they happen. That's
so.
And of course, her and a bunch of other Democrats voted against the bill that was proposed to stop insider trading in.
Yep.
All right.
She's like, oh, it's a free market. Everyone should be allowed to participate.
It's not a free market if you control the market.
Writing the goddamn bill.
Yep. Next one, doctors prove, this comes from Daily Mail.
Oh yeah.
That Leah Thompson has an unfair advantage in swimming because of the amount of testosterone in his body.
It's her
still a
body.
he.
Her body. I guess it's a her now. So I guess we should be politically correct.
Did he cut his winky off?
Yes.
The winky is gone.
I believe the winky is gone.
It's still a he without a winky. I don't care what anybody says. Okay, so here's my thing. Barry Bonds Remember him, the baseball player?
Yes.
And who was the other baseball home run during that time?
Sammy Sosa.
Nope, after Sammy Sosa. But I think he was embroiled in it too. They basically took away a lot of their home runs, or they had a big thing in the Senate, a big
Yeah, I remember
investigation,
that. I can't remember his name.
because of steroids. But it wasn't supposedly steroids they were taking, it was testosterone.
Yep.
And they said, well, the fact that you're using more testosterone than your body can naturally make, or that your other players have, gives you an unfair advantage.
Yep.
How is a guy who, even at the age of, how old is he? Like 21, 22?
Sure.
20, whatever it is, somebody that's been a guy their whole life with male testosterone, male levels of testosterone, male muscle mass, that on average is 30% more than females of the same weight. How is that not the same thing as taking testosterone enhancing drugs?
It's not. It's not any different. I know. He knew she whatever. Leah Thompson knew.
They them.
Sure.
Cake.
When he was
think
in
there's
the
cake
men's
now.
competition, he ranked 400th.
460th.
Yeah. Well, in that category. He was so far low on the totem pole. He switched his gender to win a trophy.
Right.
What the fuck? No. You can not just say that's how it. But the thing is, it's how it's perceived. Well, he sucked at the sport as a man. Oh, I'm going to become a woman and become dominant. That's like LeBron James becoming a woman and going in. Does he stay in the NWA because he's still technically LeBron James, but now as
Well,
whatever.
not even LeBron James. LeBron James is like one of the best in the NBA. We're talking, I don't know, I don't watch basketball, but watch somebody that basically rides the pine the whole time
Yeah.
and can't make it in the NBA. So they switch to the WNBA. Now, WNBA basically has no viewers because nobody wants to watch a bunch of women, shoot
It's not
because
as
they're
popular.
Well, it's not as exciting. Have you ever tried watching it? I can't stand basketball to begin with, but then I watched the WNBA and I'm like, this is really boring.
I don't really watch basketball at all.
But
actually,
but you take somebody that is, okay. Here's a great example, and I know I've used this many a times. I coach high school wrestling. All right. In Michigan, they finally this past year had because there's enough girls that are wrestling, and I love the sport expanding into male and female. I don't think it should be just a male sport. Growing up, I think I saw like one girl wrestler. Now, just about every team, my team had two, other team. But I'm going to talk about a friend of mine who in women's this year was second in the state. She's going to be a state champion next year. I know it. I'm going to train her for it. And she's already being prospected by colleges. But she didn't even make it out of districts. In fact, she lost most of her matches against males, even though she won almost all of her tournaments against females. They're the same weight. Her weight as a female wrestling against other females, her weight is the exact same weight as her weight wrestling other guys. So it's not like they were bigger than her.
It's not a weight prop. It's not a weight. It's just a genetically size differential.
Well, they're the same size. It's muscle mass. For guys, we have to take an alpha test of the guys, and they can't drop below 7% body fat. Okay, for the guys. For girls, it's 18%.
Oh, Jesus.
Because girls are naturally have more body fat than men. They have to. That's a part of biology. That's, they need that. That's the nourishment for their body when they have kids. It's a part of their skeletal makeup. It's all of that.
Yeah.
Women naturally have to have more body fat than men. So men are naturally stronger. We have testosterone. We have denser muscles, all of that. Every so often you might get an anomaly out there. I'm sure just about every woman in the UFC can kick my ass.
Sure.
Okay. But they're the anomaly of women. And they can't really compete against other men in the UFC because every guy that makes it to the UFC can kick my ass. It's just, that's the thing. So, I'm not going to say I can go out and I can beat Serena Williams in tennis. She'll kick my ass. But you put Serena Williams, in fact, she did go up against a guy that was ranked like 100 and some a number of years ago, and she got her ass kicked. So, okay. So that's that. We're kind of going lightning round with these because we spent a lot of time.
I figured we're gonna end it with the Project Veritas.
Let's jump straight to that.
That's what I was gonna do.
Just because then I got a couple videos that might be funny.
So Project Veritas, we all know they're very clever how they do this. This is
the
one
army
of the
that Project Veritas must have for them to uncover so much that they do. They have to have such an army of people that we don't know.
Yeah.
About.
Well, right now we don't make profit, so it's going to say ideology, which is what's led us to not being profitable.
The rest of us who have been here believe in something that's good for the planet. And
pause it real quick so we can give some context. That is Alex Martinez talking to an undercover Project Veritas agent at a bar. He's the lead client partner at Twitter. And it's so funny, this story, because part of what he said is he felt candid talking to this person because he knew about Project Veritas was going after Twitter, but because he knew this person went out on a couple dates with them beforehand, he knew that they could trust them. It's hilarious. Okay, go on.
People free speech. Because again, like, these people really do believe in what we're doing. These are the policies we've put in place for misinformation or mislabeling media or whatever. Yeah. Why do you think this should be taken down? Yeah. Like, those are the questions they're going to ask him. Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be hard for him to be like, oh, because people should make their own decision. It's like, no, but people don't know how to make a rational decision if you don't put out correct things that are supposed to be out in the public. As an advertiser, as my business is what I do every day and why I go out is like, we want it to be as fair and transparent and accurate as possible. Yeah. And if that means there's a level of censorship to make it correct, quote unquote, again, and what does correct mean? I guess like it just kind of goes into the idea of like, well, what is correct?
If we're implementing all these rules that and Elon wants to dismantle them, then technically our ideology has led us to not making money because we're not making money. And Elon wants to turn it the other way so that we can make money. There's a statement they need all 7,000 people to say. And so they can't like tell us that like the real truth.
He has Asperger's.
Yeah, I know that.
So he's special. You're special needs. You're literally special needs. So,
Jesus,
I can't even take what you're saying seriously. Targeting of types.
Wait.
You can read it.
Let me see.
and how to protect yourself. Groups like Project Veritas are active right now.
It's like some group that
Project Burritos.
I love how this person, he intentionally said it wrong.
Yeah. And
This
it's
is
like
the Project Veritas guy reading an internal memo that they're being targeted by Project Veritas.
that's trying to just out the employees. Like they're trying to go on dates with them like this and record them and then go sell it to the New York Times and say this is what the Twitter employee just said. This is what's really
he should have
happening.
kicked
This is what they're telling
himself.
us to not
He
do.
is
You're
he
lucky
probably
that you
should
met me
have kicked
organically
himself
because
for
I
this.
would be questioning everything about you.
And he even said, "I'd be questioning everything about you."
Yeah, if I didn't go on dates with you before, or I didn't know you before, something like that. Hilarious.
All right, and then there's targeting tweet. Mr. Sir Urushi, whatever his name is, he deleted everything about his profile because he ended up getting caught after this.
Well, of course he did. I mean,
So do you think there's a difference between Twitter's definition of free speech and Elon's definition of free speech?
Twitter does not believe in free speech.
What do you
Elon
mean?
believes in free speech.
So do you think there's a difference between Twitter's definition
Pause
of
it
free
on that
speech
and I'll read
and
it.
Elon's definition of free speech?
Twitter does not believe in free speech.
What do you
Elon
mean?
believes in free speech.
So he's basically saying that
Sir is a senior engineer at Twitter following Elon Musk purchasing Twitter.
How does Twitter
Morganson
not
seems
take
to not like it, I guess. I didn't read it, but
Because Twitter wants to censor bullying and harassment. And the idea of free speech is that you can bully and harass people. And Twitter does not believe in this value as a platform because it's not conducive to a business. If you want to run a business, like even Facebook or Instagram, they don't want people bullying and harassing, or even YouTube. They straight up, any toxic behavior, they're like, nope, we can't have it.
Example, like if you bully a transgender, the right thinks it's okay, the left does not. Ideologically, it does not make sense.
pause it real quick. The problem with that, so he says you can't bully a transgender. The right thinks it's okay. The left does not. What's your definition? I don't think it's right to bully anybody, transgender or not, but what's your definition? Do you mean saying, like I did with Leah Thompson, saying, okay, Leah Thompson isn't a woman, he's a man that thinks he's a woman. Yeah, that's now to the left, that's bullying. Or to me, that's pointing out biological fact. Biologically, Leah Thompson is a man. That's the problem
Leah
with
Thompson
Twitter.
was born a man.
And you know what? Regardless
and
if
decided to make the choice of becoming a woman.
And you can't make a choice to become a woman. That's the thing. You're still going to be a man. Leah Thompson's still going to have to get his prostate checked when he's 40 years old.
This is true.
Regardless, that's not bullying, but to Twitter and to the left, that is bullying because you're saying something they don't like. That's the difference of the definition.
On the right, not the left. Because everyone on the right wing will be like, bro, it's okay to say, you just gotta tolerate it. The left will be like, no, I'm not gonna tolerate it. I need a censor, or else I'm not gonna be in the platform. So it does double right. It's true. There is bias. That is what it is today.
So the problem with that also is life, and I'm trying to teach my son this. In fact, me and his other sensei are trying to teach him, and I think it comes from Rocky, but basically life isn't fair. Life is going to knock you down. You have to learn to tolerate a lot of things you don't like.
It's not about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you get hit, and get back up.
Exactly.
That is
and that's the difference between the right and the left. The right believes in individuality, and yeah, we have to tolerate a lot of bullshit from the left, and we do tolerate it. The left doesn't want to tolerate it. They want to shut you up so that you can't say it, so that you don't exist. They want to deplatform you. They want to take you out so that they don't have to listen to you, even if what you say is true. They don't want somebody else to be able to hear it. And then what that does is that creates extremists, in my opinion. Because then you have people that fight back even harder and go to these Discord groups and these underground outlets to be able to. Nothing that... the MAGA King said... The Ultra MAGA King, he said a lot of bullshit. Like, literally, I like how Ben Shapiro puts it. That's going to be on his tombstone. Here lays Donald Trump. He said a lot of shit. But nothing what he said was harmful.
Wrong. No.
Was wrong or harmful. Even if you don't agree with it.
The thing with Trump was he was a realist. He talked to you in the moment, at the moment when it happened. It's not like he bent to anybody's will.
No, he was a realist, but what got him, I think, in some trouble, even with conservatives, was that everything was what's the word I'm looking for? All or nothing. Like, this is the best. This is the worst. This is, not saying, hey, this is a really good idea. Say, this is the best idea that ever came up and no other ideas were ever came close. That was
wrong. Like, when he was in office, he accomplished damn near almost everything he sought out to do.
Right.
He's the only president that went into North Korea territory without guards.
He made us energy independent. His policies allowed us to be energy independent.
Peace to the Middle East that hasn't been around in hundreds of years.
Right.
By
two
making
two treaties in 1 year.
Well, no, what was great is how he did it is because he just said, fine, these two want to keep arguing. I'm going to get a treaty with everybody around it.
Yeah.
And it forced everybody to fucking stop fighting. And it was like,
and
that's a badass. That's a badass.
And the thing is
there.
that's why I don't use Twitter. Outside of libs of TikTok, I'll go on and read, but I don't post stuff on Twitter. Because until Elon Musk takes over and completely changes it, which now I'm not even sure he's going to do.
Yeah, because as of lately with everything going through, because one of the stipulations was that they had to produce all the bot accounts.
They had to produce a document on what percentage.
Yeah.
And because in the FEC filing, they said it was 5%, the Twitter CEO of Twitter or whoever.
Yeah.
But now independent sources are saying it could be up to 25% or higher.
What was great is Joe Biden's. They announced it was like 10 million of his subscribers were all bots. Yeah. I was like, you suck.
Yeah. And that's one of his goals with Twitter is he wants to sell it as a business to advertisers. And one of the ways he wants to do it is to say, listen, rather than saying we have this many million people, we can say, listen, we have this many million people that we know are people.
Yes.
And we'll actually see your advertisement, not a bunch of bots, that don't pay attention and just look for keywords to make replies.
Correct.
And so will it go through at this point? I don't know. A part of me also wonders if Elon did this just to fuck with Twitter. Like the ultimate troll. The ultimate troll is, hey, you know what? I'm going to buy Twitter. If I can't buy Twitter, you can't produce all this. I'm just going to tank your stock. And basically wipe you out. But the thing is Twitter is ran by these leftist ideologues. The problem with the left is that they are very
the thing is,
dictatorial.
like,
They're
yeah,
very
well-
dictatorial. If you either agree with them or you're silenced. That's it.
No,
They'll
I mean,
call you a
with-
bully. They'll call you this to silence you.
with what Elon Musk is doing about trying to figure out who the stock has started to drop in its price. So the FCC filing, there was I think there was an
FEC.
addendum added if once everything was met, if the price went down, the overall sale price will actually match whatever the stock is at. So he
Yeah.
may ended up getting it a lot cheaper than what he offered it originally.
So the stock is down to $40.05 today.
Yeah, because when he
As
bought the
of-
sale, it was like $54 at the time.
Right. And it was at $38, I think, before he bought in his stock, and then it jumped up to like 46 or 47.
Yep.
And then I'm gonna zoom in here.
He made a one-time offer of like $54 a share.
At on April 5th, it was $50.98. That was right after he bought. But right
Yeah.
before that, it was $38.82. In the last year, the highest it got, according to the Apple Stock app, and I'm just kind of looking and scrolling around, looks like $68.63. So,
All right.
and as of May 20th, so last week, it was down to $38 again. Oh, March 4th, it was down to $33. So, okay. But basically, Twitter sucks. And the people that work there are the ones that run everything, and they build everything to basically quash free speech, and we have it in their own words. That's their goal.
That's
The Supreme Court leaker was discovered, and it wasn't who we thought it would be. I always thought it was like someone from Elena Kagan's, one of her people.
You can only hope.
But
Um,
according to Newsbreak, or the Associated Press, should I say, it was actually Gail Curley, who was a marshal for the Supreme Court. Curley, she was handed an assignment to oversee the unprecedented breach of, earlier this month, Curley was handed a bombshell of an assignment overseeing the unprecedented breach of the Supreme Court secrecy, the leak of a draft opinion and apparent votes on major abortion case to Politico, the Roe v. Wade overturn. Let's see here. People who know Curley describe her as a former Army colonel and military lawyer, as possessing the right temperament. I'm confident in truth, although... So Curley wasn't the one? Am I reading this incorrectly?
I guess she's... I'm not sure how, because they said... I guess she may be the one looking for whoever leaked it. I guess.
Okay, it says search for Supreme Court leaker falls to former
Yes.
Army. So she's the one investigating. I'm sorry.
Yes.
So
We
scratch-
misread that one.
Yeah,
Our
I
apologies.
misread. Take that back. So it could still be something. She's the one investigating. The investigation doesn't appear to have any real precedent. No, because it's never happened in the history of the Supreme Court. Overseeing the investigation is new to Curley. In her military career, she routinely oversaw a dozen or more criminal and administrative investigations, and supervise large number of attorneys and paralegals. So, still Curly found time. Unfortunate in Germany. Okay, so they're still searching. So I take it back. This person was not the leaker. She is the investigator trying to find the leaker. So it could still be someone in Lena Kagan's camp, like I think it is, or Sonia Sotomayor.
Yeah, one of the two. My apologies. I misread that article. The way it was written, I was like, well, so yes. So no, the investigation is still ongoing, but they have a lead investigator for it, which is handy because that means they're taking this as serious as possible. And my camera disappeared, but whatever.
Well, and also the next thing is on our docket is that the what's going to happen with the Ministry of Truth, i.e.
I'm so glad they fired her.
DHS Disinformation Governance Board.
Yeah. So let's see.
So Nina Jankowicz, who was ahead of it, resigned. She was kooky to begin with, though. Have you seen some of her TikToks and some of her? She did like a disinformation parody to. I think did we play that on here? Her disinformation parody to Mary Poppins, I think it was.
Yes.
Like she is just weird to begin with, and then they put her on this. I mean, right from the beginning, there shouldn't be a disinformation, not from the government because. Or misinformation because, especially with the Department of Homeland Security, because disinformation technically means it comes from the government. Like, Russia puts out disinformation campaigns, with the war and all that stuff. But the Homeland Security is local.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the State Department.
Nope. So she was on CBS News, was Face the Nation. And she's going to, she feels like she was wronged by being terminated from this. And she's going to explain why.
Just 3 weeks after it was announced, amid criticism from Republicans. The board was established in April to standardize the handling of disinformation across various agencies in DHS. Nina Jankowicz joins us now. Thank you so much. She's the former executive director of the Disinformation Governance Board. She also is the author of How to Lose the Information War and How to Be a Woman Online. So, Nina, do you think the Disinformation Board was the victim of, in fact, misinformation, given the backlash it saw?
Actually, Jamie, I would say that the Disinformation Governance Board was the victim of disinformation. So the difference between dis and misinformation is disinformation is false information spread with malign intent. And clearly there was a malign intent on some actors in the media and in politics who just really stood up to the formation of this board because it would be confronting disinformation. They completely mischaracterized its mission. And frankly, this childish behavior is endangering our national security now. This board was set up to counter real disinformation that makes Americans less safe. Things about false information related to disasters, border security, our elections, and other critical infrastructure like
elections. You want to hear that? Election.
Right. Yes.
Because there was so much crap going on during the 2020 election. And she called out a handful of things as, oh, it's Russian misinformation, but yet it actually found out to be true.
Right. Right. She literally said that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian misinformation. Now we're finding not just through the New York Times and the Washington Post that, oh, it was actually true, but we're finding out in through court subpoenas that what was on there was true, and people are probably going to end up going to jail because of it.
Oh, yeah.
Pipelines and banks. So those who stand in opposition to the board, which, as the secretary said, was just an internal coordinating mechanism, something to make sure that we were efficient and using best practices, are standing in the way of our national security.
This is a tough one here. And I have to tell you, the things that I was reading about what was said to you online and how your family had to deal with death threats in particular, you're an expert on disinformation online, and in particular, women who experience online abuse and harassment. Can you describe for people just what your life has been like and, just what your family was under?
Well, Jamie, I've dealt with harassment before, but nothing like this. This was 3 weeks of just an onslaught. There were maybe 1 or 2 days over the past 3 weeks where I didn't have to report a violent threat to the security services at DHS. And your viewers can't see, but I'm 38 weeks pregnant. Not that that saves me from criticism, but certainly I believe that we should be able to have a serious conversation in the United States about real issues that, I understand why Americans are upset about the idea of a board that might decide what's true or false. Of course, that's not what the board was going to be doing, but
Bullshit.
Yeah.
I will call fucking bullshit on that whatsoever.
That's exactly what the board's job is to decide
tell you
what's
what
true.
what they believe is true and what believe was false.
Right. And okay, let's play devil's advocate and say that's not what the board's job is right now. There was a reason for years, and I still was against the Patriot Act, because I said, yeah, right now with this administration, the Bush administration, it's used for good. What happens when you get an administration that comes in and wants to use it against their political enemies, like we're seeing right now, where they use the Patriot Act and portions of Homeland Security against parents standing up at school board meetings?
Yeah. Still, my favorite one is at an Ohio school where the mayor goes into the school board and tells them either all to resign or you're all going to be arrested and indicted.
That was awesome.
That was he just like dropped the mic and just walked out. Fucking like they couldn't argue it because it was like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, at least he gave them the option to resign.
Right.
To keep their dignity and resign.
If you can call it that, but
sure, whatever.
But so Jankowicz is gone. I don't know
the
what
board is right now. The disinformation board panel is actually put on hiatus at this current time. So the United States Ministry of Truth is hopefully gonna stay that as a figment of their imagination.
Hopefully.
So we can only hope and into the future. So being with that said, I think we should call this motherfucker a night.
Well, let's throw a couple things in there.
Go for it.
Just for fun. So all right. So this video right here I got off TikTok. These are TikTok videos that I got. This is about to all males, and she's holding up a toilet seat.
I've been thinking to myself, hey, isn't this easy?
I agree that is actually extremely easy. But, when you're going into the bathroom and approaching the toilet, you could just be like, oh, look at that. The toilet seat's up. Maybe I should put the toilet seat down so I don't end up cheek deep in ass water. So you approach the toilet, you're just like, oh, wow, that was super difficult. And then you can be like, oh, wow, I just sat on the toilet and I'm not cheek deep in ass water. I mean, you check to make sure a chair's under you before you sit down, don't you? You back your car out of the garage without looking in your rearview mirror first? I'm just trying to figure out who came up with this one-sided rule where it's a man's responsibility to prevent female stupidity. Don't sit in ass water. Put this toilet seat down. Takes the same amount of effort, lady.
I don't have this problem with my wife. But I did have two girls as roommates when I was in college that they would get so pissed at me and the other guys for not putting the seat down. And it's like, you know, when I have to take a shit, I usually look to see if the seat's down first.
Right?
And then I put it down. I don't just like turn around and don't pay attention and drop. I mean, maybe
My
once or
daughter
twice
yelled
in my
at me.
life that might have happened, but
My daughter yelled at me. She goes, Daddy, you forgot to put the toilet seat down. I said, yeah? You forgot to put the toilet seat up when you were done. She goes, but that's not my responsibility. I said, neither is mine.
yeah. Okay. Next one is this.
What kind of Mario wear? Denim, denim, denim.
Denim, denim, denim. Denim, denim, denim. That was a simple joke.
Oh.
All right. Next. Coming on.
Joe Biden's brain is on a vacation far away. Speech makes you wonder. He doesn't even know what he
I've
wants
seen this one.
to say. And we know he likes the girls a whole lot younger.
I don't know. I thought that was funny. Are you still with me or did I lose you?
I'm still here. No, I'm
Okay.
still here.
Okay. All right. This is one that we might
Next.
get a little bit of conversation. This is my second to last one. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make this the last one, and I'm going to make this the second. So this is Ben Shapiro. Do you listen to him at all?
Yes. I
Okay.
listened to a little bit of him, yeah.
Okay. So this is him talking about Biden calling Trump the great MAGA king. It's great.
So here's President Biden screaming about food shortages, which he's still the president, and then something about a great MAGA king or something, which is like the great MAGA king who brought spices to baby Jesus or something. What is he talking about now?
Remember those long lines you'd see in a television? People lining up in all kinds of vehicles just to get a box of food in their trunk.
What are you yelling at?
How quickly we forget.
You forget.
People were hurting.
Whoa.
And what did the MAGA crowd want to do? Forget it. Forget it. God, this is the United States of America. The idea
Didn't that happen while he was president?
that people would have to wait in line an hour, hour and a half to get a box of food.
He was
in their
president when
trunk.
this was happening, by the way. This was
Yeah.
last year.
Just
He
unbelievable.
was president.
What? That happened while you were president. Also, when the pandemic first began, there was bipartisan spending that blew it out in true Joe Biden fashion. So I'm not sure what he is yelling about. So then you have Joe Biden, and he is and he's talking about the great MAGA king. I don't know why he would do this much branding work on behalf of Donald Trump, but apparently he now is. So here he is.
I think Donald Trump should come up with T-shirts that says Ultra MAGA and him walk around with a crown that says I'm the
Yeah.
MAGA king.
It could happen.
And that would be awesome. That'd be like ultimate trolling.
He's talking about the great MAGA king who came to Bethlehem with frankincense and myrrh in his great MAGA crown.
Murder.
Under my predecessor, the great MAGA king, the deficit increased every single year he was president.
Why is he just creating branding opportunities for Trump now? It's amazing. Like in the last week, because he thinks, as I said before, that if you just dust a light sprinkling of Trump over everything, that people go, ugh, ah, and then they run screaming to Joe Biden's terrible positions. That's not the way this works. So he's created a bunch of branding opportunities for Trump. Trump's sitting over here like, this is amazing. Now I can brand shirts, ultra MAGA, ultra super duper mega MAGA. And I am great MAGA king. So here's the thing. He also is increasing the deficit just at a slightly lower rate than during the biggest spending binge we have ever seen in world history in 2020 during the pandemic. But Great MAGA King is pretty weird branding.
I don't know. I kind of like it. I mean, I'm not. I will probably vote for anybody else but Trump in the primaries, but I still like it. The Great MAGA King.
You know, this is the thing. If Trump wins in 2024, his first thing he will say is that they had to steal the election to keep him out of office.
Yes. You know that's going to be a part of his inaugural speech.
So if he wins, it is going to be one of the most oddly frowned upon comments. Oh, it took the Democratic Party to steal the election in 2020 for me not to get my second 4-year term.
Yeah.
That's going to be the interesting part. And I would honestly think if he ran again, I think he would have DeSantis as his running mate. That would be the interesting.
That
Because
would be
DeSantis
the
will.
smart thing is DeSantis. I would like to see DeSantis run for president.
Oh yeah,
because I think he could win. I think he would win all of the MAGA people and anybody that's
He'd
kind
win
of on
all
the
of
fence.
Florida.
Yeah, and anybody that's kind of on the fence. The problem with Trump is that Trump doesn't look good to a lot of extremely moderate Republicans or, so-called centrists, that are not left.
That's the thing is Joe Biden is going to create the next Ronald Reagan.
Oh yeah.
Regardless of who is next.
We're already in stagflation. They haven't announced it yet, but we know we are. And now
they're not going to.
Yeah.
They're doing everything they can not to announce that at all.
And the thing is we already had our first quarter of decline. So one more quarter, it's officially a recession. And a recession combined with price increases, inflation creates stagflation. But then on top of that, look at the gas prices. And one of the proposals, I don't think I heard it from Biden himself or anything, but I did read somewhere one of the proposals is, well, if we just ration how much gas people can get, that'll bring prices down. What the fuck?
No.
What the
It's
fuck?
going to go back. Was it during the Jimmy Carter era?
Yes.
You could only get gas on certain days based on your license plate.
Yes. Like, what the fuck? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh.
All right, what's your last one?
Last one. All right.
Fact of life, women always have more questions than men have answers to. Great example of this. 6-7 months ago, I get a text one day. The text says, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. I walk into the kitchen where my wife is. I said, hey, I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. She said, was he driving? I said, I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. Were Carol and the kids in the car with him? I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. Were the people in the other car hurt? I don't know. I just got a text that said, please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. What hospital did they take him to? I don't know. I just got a text. Please pray for Tom. He was in a bad wreck. She said, well, you don't know anything. What do you know? I know you need to pray for Tom. I just got a text said he was in a bad wreck.
I've shown that to my wife before, and she's right in that boat.
Mine too.
I'll be like, sure. Oh, what do you know? Not a damn thing. This is all I know.
Yes.
Didn't
My
you
wife
ask
will-
questions? No, that was
yes,
not.
my
that
wife
was not
does that too. She's like, what are you doing? Oh, I need to go help my dad. He's having, he wants some help with the boat. Oh, what time are you going to come back? I don't know. It depends how long it takes to help him with the boat. Oh, what's wrong with the boat? I don't know. My dad told me he needs help with the boat. Oh, well, and she's just like that. She's going through wanting to know all this stuff. And I'm like, why would I ask all these questions? My dad said he needs help with the boat. I'm just going to go help with the boat. Like, women that listen to this, is this a woman thing? Like,
I don't know. I think it is. I want to say it is. But
we're at the 2
So-
hour and 25-minute mark. So
good Lord. Yeah, I know. We haven't done it in 2.5 weeks. So, again, this is episode 35 of Fire Talk Radio. Check us out on our website, firetalkradio.com. Email us at firetalknetwork@gmail.com. Voicemail us at 814-380-9820. And always check us out on Facebook at Fire Talk Radio. So, and all music is brought to you by Psycho Stick.
see you guys next time.
We can only count to 4. 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 Numbers, lots of numbers.
All right.